If you've got pancake pecs and want to turn them into a chisel chest, or even something like this, better known as tiggle bitties, you gotta do the right exercises, and guys, you gotta do them the right way, and it starts right here with a dumbbell bench press. And yeah, I assume you're doing a lot of dumbbell bench pressing right now, but your chest is still flat. Likely because you're deprioritizing your chest and you're making your shoulders do more of the work. And there's two things that you can do here that will fix this for you. First is going to be the speed of the repetition that you're performing on the bench press, and second is going to be the position of your head as you lower the dumbbells. First of all, when it comes to the position of your head, you're going to allow yourself to just lift even just 1 or 2 inches off of the bench as you lower the dumbbells down. And all that's doing is setting the stage for what's going to happen during the press itself. Because naturally, I'm going to want to put my head back in contact with the bench, along with it, my shoulders, which is going to give me the leverage and the counterforce necessary to drive those dumbbells away from me. But what's happening most importantly is putting the chest and the pecs out in that prime position as the main drivers of the movement. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not lifting to the point where I'm straining my neck. We're talking about a simple 1 to 2 inches. As a matter of fact, I would argue that those that keep their head in contact with the bench the whole time and drive down from there actually place more potential strain on their neck than those that are actually doing this simple lift. Now, when it comes to the speed of your press, that's the second thing you're gonna wanna focus on. You need to try to become as explosive as possible, even if you're using heavier weights. You wanna try to move the weight as fast as possible on the way up, and of course, really control slowly on the way down. You see, the chest is actually comprised of the 3rd highest percentage of type 2 fibers of all the muscles in your body. What does that mean? It means this muscle is geared to handle more acceleration during the concentric of the exercise. So if you're driving those dumbbells up explosively, or much more explosively than you are right now, you might actually start to create more of that chest growth that you're lacking right now, simply by training the muscle the way it prefers to be trained. Now, there are some instances where even if after you implement those 2 changes to your bench press, you still really can't feel your pecs, well, that's where I recommend a detox exercise, right? It's my mind muscle rehab, and it comes in the form of a cable incline bench press. Now, the cables are the game changer here. It's worth the setup if you have access to this. What you'll find is that by setting the cables out wide and having to actively adduct them just to get them in position to press, you're almost pre-engaging the pecs and setting the stage once again for them to do more of the work and take the delts out of it. So if anybody suffers from feeling the pecs during a press, I guarantee you with 100% certainty, you will feel the pecs during this exercise. And some of us might think, but I can't lift as heavy here as I could with dumbbells or a barbell. But that's not the point. The point is you don't have the mind-muscle connection here to get the most out of those variations of the exercise. So why not work with this detox exercise and work on developing that so when you go back to those exercises, you're doing it better. The next thing you have to do to fix that flat chest is actually start to care about your lower chest. Even somebody that has moderate levels of body fat might be able to see the top row of abs. That top row of abs literally delineates the lower chest line. It's right up against it. And if your abs look more prominent right now than your lower chest, believe me, it's gonna look like you have a flat chest. So what you need to do is develop this area mostly with a dip. It's the classic exercise, but you have to do it the right way. Here, I want you to make sure that you are not allowing your shoulders to shrug at any point during the exercise. If you allow your shoulders to rise up and shrug up, then that chest is going to get hollowed out, and when you press, most of the pressing is going to come through the front delt and the triceps. But instead, if you drive your shoulders down, keep them forcefully unshrugged, lean forward so that you get your chest out more so than your delts, and then when you get to the bottom, you don't try to escape the uncomfortability of the stretch, but you actually try to wallow in it by performing something called a 1.5 dip. Again, anything you can do to spend more time in that lowered stretch position of the pecs is going to contribute more to the growth of that lower pec line and one that looks less flat. Now, with that lower chest more prominent, I can tell you nothing fixes a flat chest more than working on a more prominent upper chest or that upper chest shelf. As a matter of fact, you can even see this when wearing a shirt if you have any kind of a low-cut V-neck. How do you develop it though? This is one of my favorite ways to do it. It's called a cable Y pullover. And it's very important that you set the exercise up properly. You want your bench far enough away from the cables that you can get your arms up overhead into this Y position. You pull your hands together at the same time that you drive your arms forward like you would in a traditional pullover. The benefit here is you don't have to stop at vertical, right? If we had a dumbbell in our hand here and kept going forward, we'd be concerned that we might drop it on our junk and actually taking away all the work being done by the pecs. But with the cables, you have the opposite effect. You still have tension, so you get a tremendous amount of range of motion and you get a tremendous amount of contraction right in those upper chest fibers that are lagging right now. I would also argue that this exercise becomes somewhat shoulder protective because anyone that spends a great amount of time doing their chest exercises in this more delt dominant way is likely to have more of that rounded shoulder posture. This is a good way to restore some overhead mobility and some more normal biomechanics to the joint to make this exercise more than just an upper pec builder, but also a shoulder protector. If you're relying solely on dipping and pressing and wondering why you still have those pancake pecs, then this is going to be one of the main reasons why, because you need to do and perform all functions of the chest if you want it to grow the best. Here, we need to have exercises that bring our arms across midline. And perhaps there's no better or more direct way to do this than with the exercise that literally does this, the crossover. Now, the best thing about the crossover is its versatility. You can perform this in one of three different planes of motion, either straight out here in front of your body, anchoring from a low position and raising your arm up and across your body, or anchoring in a high position and lowering your arm down and across your body. Going from high to low is going to work more of that lower chest line that we already discussed with the dips. Going from low to high and up and across your body follows the fiber direction of those upper pec fibers or the clavicular fibers that attach to that collarbone, like I said, and will allow you to hit them more effectively. And then again, going across our body is going to work more of those sternal fibers that attach in this direction here, again, rounding out those pecs. Now, the great thing is this exercise can be performed either individually, one attacking each plane at a time, or you can perform the exercise as something I call an omni crossover, where you differentiate the plane of motion that each arm is following. One can be set from high to low, and one can be set just in the midline, or one can be set high to low, and the other can be low to high. It's up to you which configuration you want to do here. You can save time if you're short on time, or again, separate them all out and attack them individually. The bottom line is this is one of the few exercises that gets the adduction needed to start to make that chest of yours become much more three-dimensional. Now, if there's anything that can undermine an attempt to build a more prominent chest, it's a bad shoulder. And if you've got one right now, you might even find some of the exercises that we covered already difficult to do. Except you've got an option here. And this is a variation of the crossover. We call this the 3D crossover. And this exercise is one that will take a lot of the strain off of the shoulder, but still allow you to move a lot of weight and engage the pecs, again, most importantly, in both of that sort of shoulder flexion and adduction function. Pull the weight in just a little bit to start, and then drive your arm across your body, keeping it nice and close. Again, the further it gets out away from your body, the more susceptible you might become to some of that anterior shoulder pain. But by keeping it nice and close and tight and driving your arm as far across your body as you can into adduction, you're gonna feel a really great contraction here. What I love about this exercise is it actually saved me during a time where my torn labrum was making chest training almost impossible. It gave me the only exercise option I had that I could still do pain-free until the point where I was able to build myself back up without having to feel the pain at the end of every one of those workouts. You want to turn them into something like this, Tig old Diddy, P. Diddy.
Can't say that anymore.
Also known as big old fit, fuck me. Tig old biddies. Tig old biddies. Tig old biddies. Big old titties.
Cut.
Remember, whether you're a hard gainer or you're just starting out and this is the type of chest that's staring back at you right now, there is a path to something much better looking, and this is the way to do it, guys. If you're looking for a full workout, you can link to this perfect chest workout. And if you're looking to see how I rank a lot of the different chest exercises, you can see all my rankings for those right here. If you're looking for a complete program, guys, they're available over at athlean-x.com. If you haven't done so, click subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.